Okay, I'd like to start just acknowledging the tragedy at the University of Virginia. Our thoughts, prayers are with that university, that football program. Just a devastating kind of reminder, unfortunate to put things into perspective. Shifting gears, I also want to recognize Louis Quintana and our cross-country team for a historic performance at regionals, going to nationals, including their first ever region champion, Kaylee Mitchell. Also Terry Boss and our men's soccer team, number 8 overall seed, will be hosting a match on Sunday. Congrats to those guys. I'll be cheering both of those programs on as they move forward. Recapping our game, I said it after the game, but again, proud of the group. After digesting this film, talked about it yesterday with our team, this idea, next man up, and being ready to go when called upon. And we had so many examples of that in really all three phases. Tyler Morano, Tanner Miller offensively, a couple of linemen, they came in. We didn't miss a beat, did a great job of being ready to go. Obviously, Alex Austin couldn't finish. Ryan Cooper goes outside, but watching Akili get into the game, Skylar Thomas made a bunch of plays, didn't miss a beat defensively, and we had a bunch on special teams, guys stepping up. Jack Coney goes down, and Jeremiah Noga hadn't played a bunch at all, was ready and going on special teams. Bryce Caulfield, multiple spots. Jaden Robinson on special teams doing some good stuff. Akili Arnold takes over for Coletto on the kick return game, and we almost creased 2 of those. The guys were just ready to go, and I think it spoke to our culture around here that guys are preparing, even if they haven't gotten a ton of playing time, but they've been ready, and they were on it throughout the night, and I thought that just showed up on the tape. I really appreciate those guys, and I'm missing a few that got into the game. Offensively, really proud of the second half effort in regards to we had 4 possessions, 3 of them we get scores, and the 4th one we're taking a knee in the second half to separate the game. And it did. It complemented a defensive performance that was really, really good. Those guys flying around, making it difficult, wanted to take away the run game, did that, contested in the secondary. Overall, defensively, big-time performance. Going into the game, we thought we could do some things on special teams. Anthony Gould with a huge return. And, again, he credited his teammates, and they did. They did a great job blocking for him, separated things. That was a big play. And so we got a lot done. Even our punter, he only punts twice. Luke Loescher gets one down to the 4-yard line, and the other one totally changes field position with a perfectly placed punt on the sideline. So there was just a lot to like, and that's a good foot. Cal, say what you want. These guys went down and played toe-to-toe with the Trojans until the last 2 minutes. Trojans had to get a first down to end the thing, and so for us to play a complete game like that, was really pleased with it. Crowd helped again. I know our guys love playing at home, but the crowd helps a ton. Every night, every day we play at home, our fans make a huge, huge difference. And obviously we get one more opportunity in a couple of weeks for that. Moving forward, I think Arizona State is a dangerous team. These guys got some talent. Obviously they've had some transitions throughout the year, and they've had the injury bug just like all of us. But I watched that second half against Washington State. They're not going away. They got down at halftime. They did not go away. That thing could have been totally different. They played for 4 quarters. And so we expect seeing the same thing for them on senior day. And it's always tough going down there to Arizona, especially late in the year. It's always tough to play down there, and so we got to prepare well to do that. Last piece, I think I'm probably going to get asked about a few of these guys, and so I thought I'd just kind of rattle off some updates on people. Trey Lowe did play in a limited fashion, got in the game. We're hoping to add to his role this next week. Deshaun Fenwick, we felt like a weekend off. Gives him the potential to return. We'll see how he looks the end of this week. John McCartan was close to being able to play. Couldn't do it. We're optimistic that this weekend he'd be back. Jam Griffin left the game. We'll see how he looks toward the end of the week, but not ready to call him out yet. Same with Jack Coletto, left the game last week. We'll see how the week progresses for him and make a call toward the end of the week. Tolley and Henley will be in the same boat, lower extremity kind of injury, but not season ending. We'll see how they look at the end of the week. Same with Alex Austin. See how he looks at the end of the week. He'd been battling actually for a couple of weeks. That guy is tough, continues to practice and go, and it flared up on him during the game. We'll see. Jaden Grant's going to be in the same boat there in regards to the end of the week. Josiah Irish, we feel confident he'll be back. I know he left during the game there, but we feel confident that he'll be back and around it. And I bring that up just to say, one, I was going to get asked, but also it's the end of the year. We are not the only program dealing with that. I mean, shoot, we're playing Arizona State. They've had a bunch. I look across this league. Unfortunate part of the game, it's a physical game, and no one's playing with their full roster at the end of the year. So with that, questions?
So, nobody, excuse me, out of all those guys, you feel like you can say right now they're definitely not going to play Saturday. Out of all those guys, everybody is still.
Yeah, currently, there's still some guys, we're getting some information back today and tomorrow, but currently, we can't say anyone is out.
So, it's obviously next man up in your locker room. That's what you're selling your guys, and they're believing that. To the fan base, though, do all they really need to do is see what happened in the Cal game to know that, things are going to be okay, even if a lot of these guys don't play Saturday?
Well, I think we're going to be competitive with we got plenty of guys to line up with. Yeah, there's been starters week one that, earned those spots, but guys continue to progress, get better throughout the year, and they seize on an opportunity. I'm confident that we'll have a great opportunity to play with quality football guys this coming Saturday.
One thing that was missing from your opening statement here was that you haven't said all season long is we got stuff to clean up. I'm going to take that to mean the Cal game might have been your best performance of the year.
That was a good win. All the wins are good. There's definitely things to clean up. We missed there. We got to be able to exchange the ball with the running back from the quarterback and not give them 7 points. I mean, there's stuff to clean up. But I feel that performance, where we were headed, coming off a tough loss, a team that was their back against the wall, who played really well the previous week, to really have a complete game like that, I was proud of it.
Given the running back situation with Fenwick and Jam, does Isaiah Newell get quite a bit more work and practice this week as potentially your backup? Yeah,
he gets more work. I mean, he has a couple nice carries. I mean, shoot, he's an inch from being able to put the ball in the end zone and score. Cano and Shannon got a couple carries, made it physical, converted first down. So those guys have gotten work. They'll get more, and we're confident if they're called upon, they'll produce.
Did you feel like Saturday was Ben's best performance of the 5 starts he's had so far?
It was pretty good. Again, what we're asking him to do, he made some plays, took care of the ball, moved in the pocket, maybe a little bit more than he had shown. I mean, shoot, we got a big drop on him too that adds to his stats for a touchdown. So, I think the guy continues to get better and better, and he played good on Saturday.
Clearly, the Washington loss didn't sap any motivation or anything in the locker room. How did you see maybe your veteran guys and your captains step up throughout the week to get guys to bounce back after that?
Similar like they've done each week, going back to work. These guys are motivated to play. No, they still got special things in front of them. Trying to win as many games as we can. I thought it didn't look totally different during the week on how they prepared and went to work, because they've been doing it week in and week out.
And looking at ASU, this is now the second interim staff that you've prepared for this year. Does it make it any more difficult to scout opponents when they might pull a rabbit out of their hat and you don't entirely know what they're going to do?
Yeah, you can chase a lot of ghosts. They've got a body of work now, because I think the interim coach has been there a few weeks. Again, you got to prepare for anything and adjust during the game for anything. Again, they started throwing the ball a little bit more the last few weeks. I know the quarterback went down last week, but we got to prepare for 2 guys there. Defensively, again, they got some athletes, a good scheme. Played really good on defense in the second half last week when the game was close to out of hand, and they kept on battling. So it's going to be a challenge, and prepared for all of it.
On injuries, especially in this week's scenario of what you describe as perhaps coming down to much later in the week, how does that work? Does the player tell you, I'm good to go, or is it a trainer that says they want to go but they can't? Is it a combination of both?
Yeah, it's a combination, but ultimately you'd love it if it's just the player, like, I'm good. No question, the trainers are heavily involved, and those guys are doing a good job. Open lines of communication, see how they work. Again, we're never going to put a guy at risk. And ultimately, we've got other options to put in the game if a guy's not full speed, which goes to the depth of this roster.
I asked you last week how much film you watch when you get to this late in the season. Obviously, ASU's gone through a coaching change. What have you noticed differently from the first staff to the second staff, and do you really take what the first staff did, knowing obviously, again, you got a totally different
Right.
guy.
You know, I do think they apt to throw it a little bit more. And then again, maybe there's reasons for that, the way the games have been going. It's not drastically a brand-new scheme on one side of the ball. They've got some good players. I mean, their kicker can kick it out of the end zone. They got athletes that are going to get drafted here on really both sides. I think the quarterback gave them a little new life, but the other one came in last week and played pretty good in the second half. So not drastic scheme changes. We go back and stick to our process. We're going to look at the last 4 or 5 pretty heavy, but we'll watch every game.
Are injuries that affect the special teams units kind of especially tricky to deal with in-game? Just, I mean, realistically, how much time could you possibly
Right.
have to go multiple guys deep in practice?
Yeah, it's really tricky because you get a few, you only get a couple, you got ones and twos more or less that get reps throughout the week, and then you get multiple guys that can't finish the game, guys move in different positions. Coach Cookus, the culture on teams, everyone's buy-in. That's why I credit this group because we were effective on special teams. But a bunch of guys that hadn't gotten a lot of reps, some guys that hadn't even gotten reps at that particular position. We were coaching it up in between series, and those guys were all in on it. Did a good job.
You haven't had a lot of early kickoffs this year. I think this will be only the second one you've had early. No coincidence, the Utah one was kind of a slow start. Do you look at that at all, see how you approach that, and is there anything you might
Right.
change up a little bit in the run-up to that game? Or?
You know, we'll be pretty typical of our, especially around here, our work and done. I think guys are excited to play earlier. We practiced earlier. I think they're excited about, on grass. Weather's, I'm assuming, is going to be decent. And they'll be, excited, ready to go, but we're not going to make some drastic changes.
In regards to the situation in Virginia, do you typically get calls from parents and things like that, just asking if, the safety stuff and all that, when stuff like this happens? Or?
There's always open line of communication with our parents on the team, and so concerns and whatnot. We would definitely return those calls, field those calls, and again, we communicate with parents throughout the season. Obviously, it's a devastating tragedy.
Yeah. Trelo, on Saturday, did he always, when he went out, was he always at receiver position?
We're not gonna give away all the scheme,
Well, it's not like Arizona State's not watching the film. They know where he lines up.
No, his primary role in this particular game was going to be doing some more on the receiving end. We're hopeful that he'll get a few carries
That's what
moving forward.
is the next step to get him in the backfield.
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
Because he's the guy that seems best suited to catch the ball out of the backfield on
Yeah.
your team. And so that's something you haven't really done a lot of this season, really.
Yeah, I mean, he can catch it. He runs the routes. I mean, Damian had a nice catch in the red zone, throwing it out of the backfield. But we want to expand his role moving forward.
Coach, a couple of special teams plays. Tyjon Lindsey getting the ball down the way he did was
Yeah.
impressive, wasn't it?
No question. And we mentioned it yesterday. It's almost like we don't even take notice as Tyjon and Josiah Irish, what they do for us on teams in multiple units have been huge all year. And that's why I appreciate it. We got 2 receivers that, they came here to catch the ball, and they're all in on teams making plays. Tyjon's tackling, downs the ball. Again, it was a good punt. Irish has been steady Eddie and making plays on kickoff the whole year, blowing things up. And we're getting a lot out of the receiver. Micaiah Tongue on kickoff, flying down the whole year. So it's nice to see. And again, I go back to this player-led culture we got. These guys are in on any way they can affect the game.
And it looked like this isn't special teams. I do have one on that, but the toss sweep touchdown to Jam at the other end down
Yep.
there, the blocking on that, the second effort, but Micaiah Tongue blew a guy up, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of guys who don't always get reps were big on that.
Yeah, and you don't get as much attention for blocking as you do for catching it. That's why I'm back to this culture. These guys doing anything they can to help us. And Micaiah on the edge, Overman's out there pulling, the tight end position's not getting a ton of balls, and they're blocking out there. Jam makes a good run. He makes a guy miss, and really kind of spins his way into the end zone. It was a good play.
And was there a key block or two that sprung Anthony on the punt return?
Multiple. He makes the first guy miss, but then guys finishing. Coach Cook does a great job talking about how long a punt return, they expand the time of that play. It's like 8-9 seconds sometimes, and so those guys finishing. Cade Brownholtz getting on it. even Irish, and again, Tyjon setting it up for Anthony to catch it because they're blocking the gunner, so multiple guys.
We saw Tristan on Saturday. How did he feel afterward? And is there, room for him to, based on what you saw and how he feels, maybe get some more reps?
Yeah, he looked good. He's been one of my favorites on this team. You talk about selfless, because he is healthy. He's thrown it as good as I've seen him do it around here. Obviously, it was a minimal amount of time, but he came in, executed, threw a couple balls to the right spots, converting, and he's totally ready to go. And so if we need him, or if he's called upon, he'll be ready.